Ahoy dalmatians, and welcome back to Star Trek Resurgence. So far I'm really enjoying it, even though I don't understand a lot of the tech talks. But we have just finished more or less, I think, our first mission, or where it has been a little bit more stressful, and so far everybody survived, so... But I also think nobody could have died there. But here we are. We should read through all the people here again, because I think some relationships have changed. Because I did some things. So, yeah. Let's go first here with Captain Solano for Jara. Captain Solano's fury over having his orders defied was compounded by Jara's continued rebellious attitude and stubborn opposition to his leadership, leaving him questioning his choice of First Order. Oops. Lieutenant Bedrosian admired Jara's instincts to protect the crew when Starbase ordered her to disengage the docking clamps, and she thought highly of Jara's efforts to explain the complexity of the situation to Captain Solano. And she was relieved when Jara defied Captain Solano's order and made her own command decision in the moment. Commander Westbrook. Commander Westbrook respected Jara's inclination to protect the crew when Starbase ordered her to disengage the docking clamps. He applauded Jara's efforts to explain the complexity of the situation to Captain Solano. Ultimately, he was thankful when Jara defied Captain Solano's orders and made her own command decision in a moment. Commander Umad. Commander Umad was glad Jara's first instinct was to protect the crew when Starbase ordered her to disengage docking clamps. And he appreciated Jara's efforts to explain the complexity of the situation to Captain Solano. Commander Umad respected Jara's rational approach when she defied Captain Solano's orders and refused to put the crew on hull at risk. Dr. Duvall was impressed by Jara's sense of responsibility to the crew and was encouraged to see her thinking independently when she defied Captain Solano's orders. Lieutenant Commander Chowak did not approve of Jara's unwillingness to follow protocol when she defied Captain Solano's orders to blow the bolts from the docking clamps. Makes sense. And Sign Callaway was grateful. Oh yeah, okay. Carter. Itzela was grateful when Carter put her safety ahead of his own on the hull. Miranda was thrilled to learn Carter's feelings for her tend towards the romantic, and she looks forward to seeing where this relationship might go. Lieutenant Commander Chowak found Carter to be cheeky. Okay. So let's find the diplomat,
I've located the shuttle. Opening comms.
On screen.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it any clearer. It won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation. We're pulling in debris.
I'm on it. That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
I have no idea what to do.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17. 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Got it.
Whoa!
Someone's working hard on the bridge.
Hi, Wheelman. How are you? Oh, Frakes, you missed a lot. And thank you so much for the follow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Grab yourself something to eat, something to drink, make yourself comfortable. I hope you enjoy the stream. How are you? Followers here are anonymous, but if you want to speak up in chat and say hi.
We got the shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Hi, Bees. How are you? Can I please get a shout out for Bees, pretty please? Is that Spock?
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock.
It is Spock!
The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Oh, he's just standing there. Welcome aboard.
Well, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Resolute, Ambassador.
Thank you, Petty Officer...
Carter Diaz, sir.
I am pleased to meet you, Petty Officer Carter Diaz.
Wait, is it petty because I was petty, or is this just like a title?
Safe arrival. Your assistance arrived not a moment too soon.
I had some
if I may
help.
say so.
Well, it wasn't all me. I got some help from upstairs.
It's a rank, okay?
A bombastic approach to clearing debris. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space.
Petty
but it is
officer.
evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
I can't speculate.
I'd rather investigate than speculate.
A sound principle.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer Diaz. Thank you.
Ambassador Spock,
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard.
Question.
I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
Spock is like an MVP, right? Everybody knows and everybody loves him, right? Or how should I like? Do you know what I mean? How should I? Hi Chad, how are you? He's a goat. Okay. Please, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Spock is cooler than Kirk. Kirk's the captain, right?
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain
He's a
Solana.
legend.
But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador.
But you are a legend!
Diplomatic choice of words.
You are a legend, Ambassador. There's not an officer in Starfleet that doesn't know of your career.
I would never assume that to be the case.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. Elydians are the more advanced species, They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Illidians have shared a mining operation there. The Illidians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Illidians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Illidians retaliated?
Have the Illidians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illidian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed.
And then probably eradicating the Hotari, right?
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Fact.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing.
They would still be exploited,
Peace
though.
is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
We can call it profitable or mutually beneficial, but at the end of the day, the Hotari are still being exploited for their own resources.
True peace is not merely the absence of war. And as such, this conflict will surely come again.
Neither the Illidians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illidians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
The Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
Well, we won't be trusted on.
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Illidium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the ion storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Illidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
What's it supposed to mean? It's a perfect storm.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Illidians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
Hi, Lord Kuha. Hello, how you doing?
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Oh, and thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Grab is there something to eat, something to drink, makes yourself comfortable. I hope you enjoyed the stream.
Ambassador
How are
Spock,
you?
I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander,
Hi.
as you are aware,
Is
there are
Spock
limits
his
to
last
what
name?
Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes. where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case. It would be unconventional, but I'm not opposed to it.
Well, I guess I'm honored.
I'm honored to be included in the negotiation process.
You're not just included, you are instrumental.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
It's just a normal shuttle.
I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
But when you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable scientific phenomena.
We'll try to restrain ourselves.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
Did they just
It
say
seems like
peace
he's
and galaxy
warming up to
depends on
us.
Gia? We're all doomed.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first.
You don't own
I don't
me.
know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
These two are gonna fuck? Well, apparently not because I'm with Miranda. But I also would like them to fuck.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Hi Ben, how
Oh.
are you?
I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm
That's a
happy
high
for you.
eyebrow.
Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me.
Have some faith.
And I know you'll respect that.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing
Understandable.
done?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something.
Look, guys. Hi Travis, how are you?
Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
You were trying to hope to see this game? Nice! Hope you enjoy it.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this.
I'll take the
One
warp
of these
coils.
systems is likely broken.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Tricorder usage. Your tricorder can record and analyze data. Looking through it will reveal the unseen. Use 2 to equip or holster your tricorder. Hold left to scan glowing objects. You must be close to some objects to scan them. Watch the frame of the screen to see if you are too far away. Huh? What do I need to scan? The game is confusing me. Oh, out of range. Wait. Anomaly targeted. Some objects you scan will activate a deep scan. During a deep scan, use Q and E to switch between different scan modes and search for glowing objects. The mode indicators on the tricorder will blink if there's an object to find in that mode. When you have scanned all objects, the frame will change color. Hold right to analyze and analyze the data and finish the scan. Oh wait, do I need to... Oh, I think I needed to read that, right? The leading cores show evidence of routine maintenance to repair microabrasion from neutrino interactions. The center cores guide the warp field through its focal event, maintaining a collimated thrust vector. No fractures detected. In their standby state, warp coils would produce a residual electromagnetic field, no deviations detected. Well, but that means that everything is good, right?
I checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
Well, I always have time for you.
Come on, I'm never too busy to make time for you.
That's not true.
No. But I am glad you came by.
Now that's more accurate.
I gotta be precise with you, huh?
Hey, Maris.
Hi, Pen. How are
Aren't these
you?
those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
For whatever reason, I thought what I need to scan would be
I do have to go.
orange. I don't know why.
Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now.
Quiche.
More important things on my mind. That was nice.
Yeah, it was.
Save some of that for when I get back.
You've got a deal.
Be seeing you.
Choose to date Miranda. Fuck. Guess we could have chosen Neely.
That's Carter Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go.
Covers eyes.
All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer's putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now. Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer?
It's manipulated!
Run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Somebody sabotaged it!
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Oh, okay. I thought something different. Yeah, just have Red Bull and Coke with me right now. Sorry. Oh wow, that's pretty! I am unsure if I really should be like a diplomat here. We are going to die. Seat of power.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tyler Saltaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydek, first officer aboard the U.S.S. Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illyrians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here, but that guy was something.
Let's keep an open mind.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
I also like the lady. The lady was nice. Just let women handle it, it's better anyway. What does deference mean? I don't know what the word means. What does it mean? Deference? I don't know what it means. Deference. Respect. Okay, so I saw that Spock was bowing down, so that's what we're going to do.
Ambassador Spock. Welcome to Holtari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Holtari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
No.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not
She
part
can
of...
speak for herself, can't she? Then let her. Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elydians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elydians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
I would seek peace.
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered. And I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
I only want peace. Well, I only want peace.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Elydians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Lydian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Lydians?
The Hotari!
Only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
They really do respect Spock, yeah. Hi, Svi, by the way, how you doing?
I hope we meet again, Jara Rydek.
Damn those Kardashians. Yeah, fuck off. We two, we are not good with each other, we do know that. You don't like me, I don't like you.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Speak with the members of each faction.
The captain and ambassador have it handled. I've got my own mission. Soothing.
Hi Dan, how you doing?
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm glad to hear it. I just hope you're not the only one who feels that way.
I apologize for that. These are unusual times, to say the least. Much is changing. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now, they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
They're against peace?
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Illydians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illydians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them.
The Iron Storm?
That it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illydians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What is it?
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Hi, Ayukin. How are you?
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Illydians' baseless claims and
You have
protect the
suffered
interests
enough.
of my people.
The Hotari have suffered enough at the hands of the Illydians.
I couldn't agree more.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Illydians.
Not seized. Reclaimed. And restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive. Before the Illydians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Don't you fear retaliation?
I'm curious why the Illydians haven't fought back. They have the ability to retake the mines anytime they want.
Ability is one thing. Courage is another. The Illydians know any hostile action on their part will not end
But also
well.
one end for you. Like, well.
They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Illydians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
Fleet is always within reach.
No need to worry. Even in a worst-case scenario, the fleet is always within reach.
But it would probably take them quite some time to get here.
Maybe. Or we might have other ships in the sector.
Of course.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly,
Dilithium is
you
my
weren't aware.
concern.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply. Now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Elydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
What really happened?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
That helps explaining, eh?
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Rydek.
Okay, so they have this artifact, and the artifact is able to harness the storm. Interesting. I mean, I am for the Hotari, though. So I didn't even know. I mean, I do want peace, but if it's ride or die, I'm going for the Hotari, even though they have this artifact.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Might be the
Otherwise,
storm.
it'll be an extended stay in the Hotari system.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
By the way, I do love the word phenomenon. The scientific method.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Oh no, not flying. Oh no! Fly the shuttle to your objective to complete a mission. Use W to fly forward, use D to fly backward, use mouse to turn, use Q to ascend and E to descend. The storm will push your shuttle around. Stay focused to maintain your course. Right.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
He doesn't like me.
I always seem to find a way to push his buttons. Yeah, I think he'd blast me out of the airlock if he thought it would help increase engine efficiency by 0.1%.
Well, don't worry about it. Chovak's opinion isn't the only one that matters. Last time I checked, I was still Chief Science Officer, and you made a hell of an impression on Ambassador Spock. I'm the one who should be worried with this new first officer on board.
Fuck off, Averas.
This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position. Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Oh, there was an impulse speed? How could I have sped up?
I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive.
Oh, I did W all the time.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of...
You should give her a chance.
Well, one of us.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture.
I'm pressing W all the way, by the way.
Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that
But
about
you're a people
Shogun,
person.
sure.
Well, if you're asking, I think you're a people person. After all, here we are. Me, an enlisted officer. You, one of the senior staff. Talking like old buddies.
I should send Solano to talk to you.
Bring him on.
I'm sure you can handle him. You've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? Solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot.
I'm happy
and there
where
are
I am.
places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people.
I'm a good pilot. Carry on my wayward son.
Here, this is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. Mark.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
That's like driving a car at
Here's the
around 3
readings in
kilometers
relation
per
to our
hour and
local
yelling, I'm a
space.
good driver!
We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Huh? What did you... Oh. No.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more. Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they do that?
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. It's current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Dun, dun, dun!
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
What are the Hotari up to?
I don't know why the Hotari wanted us here, but it wasn't to negotiate.
Clearly, peace is not their intention.
Then what is? Why go through this charade?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back?
To stop
It's a fair
Galvin and
question,
Sidron.
Considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed
To
their
learn
minds
more about
between
us.
when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hatari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Not the ones who were living there beforehand, though.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hatari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but...
Get out of there, Silas!
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
We have to help her.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're not
or maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus
Yeah,
suspects
Tau, yeah.
this came
That's
from the
the
mines
planet
on
we're
Tau.
on.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Elydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action.
This artifact is
Otherwise,
proof.
it could put us in a difficult position.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
Hi, Doctor. I'm Mythic Frost. How are you?
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right. Hi, Chris. How are you?
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
I need to change it. This is going so slow. Where is that? Camera aim sensitivity here. This needs to be way higher, man. Look at that. I'm using my whole mouse. But how? That didn't change anything. No. Did I make it even slower? Camera sensitivity, yeah. My god, no. Also doesn't work. This is so slow. This feels insane. No, guys, it's also not cam sensitivity. This is going so freaking slow. It makes sense for something else entirely. Yeah, that's when I shoot stuff. That's a little bit annoying because this is going really fucking slow.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
My DPI already is very high. No, the DPI also doesn't change anything. This will give me problems later. I already know that this will give me huge problems later on.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems.
I don't know
like a
everything.
Walking Starfleet technical manual.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, but I know my stuff.
I can see that.
Come on, start pulling chips.
Let's check, by the way. Oh my god, no my- oh my god. Okay, calm down, mouse. Did I it back? Ambassador Spock admired Jara's deft diplomacy under pressure when she was being questioned by the Hotari Queen. Captain Solano liked how Jara expressed concern about any danger Tylers might encounter by helping the Federation. Ed Sillard was reminded how much she values her friendship with Carter when he said she doesn't owe him anything for letting her go first in the hall. Miranda noticed Carter's usual confidence was tempered by some much-needed humility when she returned from Hotari. Lieutenant Commander Jovek agreed with Carter's purely logical approach to working on the Ambassador Spock shuttle. Commander Westbrook enjoyed his conversation with Carter, coming away with the impression he's smart, pragmatic, and content with his position about the Resolute. Ambassador Spock was impressed by Carter's skilled use of the tractor beam to rescue his shuttle, and he left with the distinct impression Carter is a team player. Hi, legend! How are you? Hello! My eye hurts a little bit today for whatever reason, man.
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Hmm?
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
No, there aren't any more settings. It's a very, very short menu. I'll continue to drink right in a moment when my mouse is on the button to earn. Take a drink.
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue.
Okay.
You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Leave the crystal there?
Just leave it there for now. Messing around with it could be dangerous. At least until we know more.
That's exactly why we need to get it to the containment lab. I can't make an exception just for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
Miranda, you gotta be more careful. Someone hears that, they could think you're talking mutiny.
I'm just trying to figure out how we can help. Okay, stand back.
The sound.
Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Yeah, there was something a little off about her.
Like that talk about sending a distress call? That was pretty out there. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek
Symbols
was
and
able to work behind the
legends.
scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus.
Okay.
He mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course. Tylus managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
That's it.
.2% match.
Got it.
That was easy. Tacon Empire.
So, what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Tacon Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating.
Oh, sorry.
The Tacon were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Tacon technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Tacon is limited. I
They
have
know how
only
to use
encountered
it.
passing references to them.
I can't speculate about how much they know, but one thing's for sure. They know how to use it.
Indeed.
Which might explain how they seized control of the mines.
And targeted us with a weapon that prevents warp travel.
Computer, what is the last recorded discovery of other Tacon artifacts?
On stardate 41386.4, the U.S.S. Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Tacon outpost in the Delphi Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The Enterprise was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Tacon Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Select the aspect you wish to learn more about.
Hi, Tosh. How are you?
Someone from the Tacon Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Tacon Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Tacon Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Tacon outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
It's like
As I
Jarvik
have
from Mass
said,
Effect.
They were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
Not my game. That's completely fine. Enterprise D.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Tacon used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Tacon technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
What sort of planet is Delphi Ardu 4?
Delphi Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence.
The Elydians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to negotiate peace. For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
The Hotari have a big advantage.
This kind of power in Hotari hands, it could be dangerous. For everyone.
Agreed. Which is why we should find a way to neutralize it if we can.
If it helps. We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
We need to know what's down there. What the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against. And to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we are entirely within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau. Assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously it's not
summon
without
an away
risk.
team.
I'll get the away team in and out. They're in safe hands with me.
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. But given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone. I'm hoping Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk.
Please don't tell me I have to
The last thing we need is
sneak.
to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. Can't afford any mistakes. Which is why I've chosen you.
Tylus will be essential.
Tylus will be essential to my success. Not only her knowledge of the mines, but her ability to gain access, particularly now that we know which mine we need to get into.
Make sure she understands the need to keep this covert.
Hi Dash,
She's
how
not
are
going
you?
to want her people to know about this.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Elydians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime? Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed. We'll hail the Queen's delegation from my ready room. We all know what we need to do. Dismissed.
I'm not looking forward to that one.
Oh no!
Petty Officers Diaz and Edsolar, where is the crystal formation that you found in the shuttle? I have tasked Ensign Calloway with performing a full analysis of the tetrametric pulses.
Security brought it to the containment lab.
I was just there. They don't know anything about it. Security never checked it in.
Miranda never got there?
She's the one that had the crystal formation?
Yeah, her and the rest of the security detail from the negotiations.
Diaz, Tamaris. Carter Diaz to Miranda Maris.
Commander Westbrook to Petty Officer Miranda Maris. Respond.
Something's not right.
She's still on the ship. She has to be.
Computer, locate Petty Officer Miranda Maris.
Petty Officer Miranda Maris is in the isolinear storage array on Deck 5.
I'll go find her.
Good.
I am sure Mr. Diaz can attend to this on his own.
The game doesn't give you any break, by the way. But I'm just taking the break here right now and stopping it for a moment. Let's just see, because we did got some new things here. Edzilar noticed how Carter shared his suspicion when Miranda returned from Otari. Miranda noticed, yeah. Okay. Here, Jara. Captain Solano couldn't help but be impressed by Jara's intelligent approach to the mission to Tau despite the evident risks. Lieutenant Bedrosian was inspired by Jara's boldness when discussing how to address the Otari threat during the senior staff meeting. Okay. Guys, then I'm taking again a short break here because we're already 1.5 hours in. I'm not stopping stream. I will be online for 1.5 hours more. But to everybody who is currently watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed today's part of Star Trek Resurgence. And if you guys would like to, we do see each other on the next part of it.